Hey everybody, welcome back to Afro Beauty Braids channel. It's always exciting to be back to share with you topics about natural hair, protecting our natural hair, and all the other things. If you're new to this channel, my name is Irene and I'm always excited to be here. Last week we covered protein overload and we were talking about how do you get protein overload and what the symptoms would be. How would you tell that your hair is suffering from protein overload? I did promise last week that I wouldn't overload you with so much information. What would have been one video, I decided that I would come back today and then talk about how to treat protein overload. Okay, if you're new to this channel, you're so welcome. If you have not subscribed and you like the content on this channel, please feel free. We are excited to have new members every week. Without wasting time, let's dive in. So I'm going to do a quick recap. Protein overload, we say that is when you use too much protein on your hair. Protein is good, but we need a balance. There's such a thing as moisture overload too. So what our hair needs is a balance between moisture and protein. Okay, now what we covered last week were the signs. What would your hair look like? It would be brittle. It would be, it would easily tangle. You'd have to detangle it all the time. It's dry because it's coated with so much protein. It can barely take in the rest of the nutrients. It can barely take in the moisture because now the protein is on your hair strands, and it's acting as a barrier to all the other things. So when you have those, we also saw that when you have protein overload, your hair breaks very easily. There is acceptable shedding or breakage, but when there is excessive shedding, then yeah, look out for those signs. So moving on, we also said that your hair porosity and your hair texture could be those are factors that would affect when it comes to protein overload. So this week, we will move on to how do we correct this. It is possible to correct protein overload. There are ways to go about it. So we are going to cover that. Like I said in my earlier videos, as we've been talking about tips and hair care, I have so much encouraged my viewers to get to know your hair, get to know what works for your hair. Be very observant, whether it's a product that you're using or how does your hair react. Look at the products you're using and what are the ingredients in these products and how does your hair react to these products. It's very important. Also get to know what is the porosity of your hair, what's the texture, what's your hair type. Is it a 4C, is it a 3B, is it curly, is it straight? All those things help. How do they help? They help you in choosing what products to use, whether they are conditioners, shampoos. There are different types of shampoos. I do remember many years ago, I didn't have a clue. I would just, buy a shampoo, use it on my hair. Now I know. They're clarifying shampoos, they're moisturizing shampoos. If you feel your hair is too dry, then you need a moisturizing shampoo. If you feel like you have too much buildup, then you need a clarifying shampoo. Did you know, guys, that you can actually exfoliate your scalp just to get rid of all that dry skin, get rid of all that buildup, and just to have a healthy space for your hair to grow out of your scalp? So, natural hair is not about just washing your hair, oiling your scalp. I kind of equate looking after your hair to taking care of your body or taking care of your weight. I know many of you do understand weight management or weight loss or weight gain, whatever it is, understanding your body and saying I can't eat too many carbohydrates, so I can't have many of these proteins, or I can't have too much fat because of ABCD, or whatever you're trying to achieve. It's the same with the hair. You know, you can't just wash, put it into protective style, wash, take it out, put it into protective style. It needs some nutrients, it needs some maintenance, it needs some taking care of, it needs some loving. I think that's the word. And the loving comes from the exfoliating of the scalp, the deep conditioning, making sure and watching, is this working for my hair type? Is this not working for my hair type? You know, all of that does have its place. Okay, enough of that. How do we get rid of protein overload? Now, I've already given you the first pointer. We need to get to know our hair. We need to get to know our hair type, our porosity, our texture. Then that way, it will give you a better understanding of what your hair needs more. So this, I look at this as a weighing scale. This is moisture and this is protein. If you overdo the protein, the scale is like that. If you overdo the moisture, the scale is like that. Your scale should be like that. So having a good balance between the moisture and the protein. There are also some people that need protein, but they're actually protein sensitive. What do I mean by that? You need protein, but very little doses of protein. What would be okay for Irene might not be okay for Brenda in terms of quantity. So you have to be, or your routine might mean that you're giving your hair too much protein. I think the best way to put it is like this. I'll have Irene and I'll have Brenda. Irene might be having a hair routine that she shares with Brenda. And then Brenda will do the same hair routine, share all my hair products or hair tips that I have. But most of the products that I'm sharing with Brenda have protein in them, or have a good quantity of protein for my hair type. Now, when I share with Brenda, Brenda is protein sensitive. Yes, that routine will work, but she needs to, you know, go a notch down or two as far as protein is concerned. Be careful. That's what I mean. What is good for me will be good for you, but you might need to change a little bit depending on your hair type, texture, porosity, because we are all different. Unless we have the same, things might go different. So just be careful when you're using these products. Get to know. It's not just, there is plant protein, like for us who are using more and more natural products. If you're buying products, when I say products, I mean your shampoos, I mean your conditioners, your deep conditioners, whether made at home or buying them off the shelf. Read the ingredients. Take time, especially if some of these ingredients are appearing as the first 6 ingredients. Be very careful. That means that the quantity of these ingredients is at a higher level in these products. So say you're buying a shampoo. It could be a moisturizing shampoo actually, but there is a bit of protein in it. So don't be blinded that, oh well, this says this is a moisturizing shampoo. Please take time to read the ingredients of this shampoo. Yes, the main aim might be to moisturize your hair, but there is still some bit of protein. Now, if you're trying to correct protein overload, then you are not going to use that shampoo, even if it's moisturizing, because it has a content of protein in it. I hope that makes sense. First point was get to know your hair, understand your hair as you do the correcting. Second, read the labels, which we have covered. Read the ingredients, some of the things that are written on these packages that will indicate that there is protein, like soy protein, corn protein, rice protein, keratin, and I'll just give you a full list. I'll just list them down in my video. So otherwise, just be careful. And if these ingredients are they're especially in the first 6 ingredients, just be careful. When you're correcting protein overload, you want to get away from protein altogether. Okay, so remember, You're checking your shampoos, you're checking your deep conditioners, you're checking your moisturizers, you're checking everything that you're applying to your hair, that it doesn't have any protein in it. You just get away from it. Point number 3, you need to clarify your hair. Get a good clarifying shampoo. Wash your hair every week, because you're trying to wash away, strip all that build up on your hair and your scalp. You need a good clarifying shampoo. Shampoo your hair every week. Some of us, or some people, don't like to shampoo their hair every week. Like, say, if you're in braids, you don't do that. But then again, if you're in braids, yeah, that's a whole different thing. Anyway, get a good clarifying shampoo. Shampoo your hair. Make sure you're washing your scalp good. Major on the moisturizing. Moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. Because remember, at that time, the scale is like that. More protein, less moisture. So we are trying to balance it back. Get away from the protein, up your moisture as much as you can. Okay. Use products that have humectants. That's another point. Honey is very, very good. If you see a product with honey, sometimes I just get my honey at home and just add it to my shampoo. I add it to some of my deep conditioners, because it retains a lot of moisture in your hair. That is very good. Just based on that. Aloe vera is also good. Aloe vera juice. So those are some of the things. And watch your hair. Do this. Create a routine for about 6 weeks. Watching your hair, observing, like we said. And if those signs are gone, then you know that you're doing a good thing. Also, avoid messing around with your hair, because remember, at that time, it's very brittle, it's very dry, it tangles very easily. So that means the atmosphere for it to break is really, it's set. What do? If you can, maybe 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, doing the clarifying, using the clarifying shampoo, moisturizing, put it in some protective, maybe big twists, and put on a scarf. Just leave it alone. Put some, a lot of us love to put on wigs. Use something that can protect you from, messing around with it. And after the 6 weeks, try to deep condition and then use a protective hairstyle. Eventually it will come back. Now, when your hair recovers from protein overload, what do? Just be careful. Start to reintroduce protein again. Just watch it. You can introduce it in a shampoo or just a deep conditioner and see what happens. Don't have a moisturizing shampoo, rather a moisturizer with protein. Just for a start, let's say, use a shampoo with a little bit of protein, see what happens, and maintain that for 2 weeks. Then again, if you feel that your hair is okay, then reintroduce it in a moisturizer and see what happens. Small quantities as you go along, and see how your hair is reacting. You will then be able to tell that I think this is enough. Maybe I just need it. If I use it in a shampoo, I don't need it in a moisturizer. Or if I use it in a moisturizer, then I don't have to shampoo with a protein shampoo. Or I don't have to condition with a protein. That's how it goes. I hope this was helpful. I'm sure some of you have seen this. I have experienced a little bit of this with my daughter. She had very dry ends and her hair just looked terrible. And these are some of the things that I've followed, and it's thriving. It's back to normal. It looks great. So if you think this is helpful, then go ahead and try it. Like I said, my very, very important advice to people, whether it's natural hair, and by the way, protein overload can also happen to treated hair. So it's not just a natural hair problem. Treated hair too, you can have protein overload. My biggest advice to my friends or people that do need my advice is just watch your hair. Fall in love with your hair. Just get to know your hair. Love on it. Understand what works or doesn't work for you. And that way you'll be able to do the right thing by your hair. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to leave us a like. If you're new to this channel and you love the content, please do subscribe. If you're not new to this channel, we will be back next week with a different topic, and I hope you have a blessed week. Thank you all.